Well, a week of being in the beautiful Ellembele district of the Western region, which is home to the founder of the Republic of Ghana, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. A year ago, a program was initiated by the Member of Parliament for the constituency, dubbed A Journey to Nkrofo, as a way of drawing people's attention to the birthplace of the founder of the Republic of Ghana. A year on, second edition comes up, and this time round, so many people showed up for the 1 week event. Amongst the several dignitaries that came up is the former president and flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, um, John Dramani Mahama, who says this year's edition is good, and the government, if he is elected in December, would ensure that this festival, that's the Journey to Nkrofo, is recognized as one of the festivals in Ghana. It will be on the tourism calendar of this country.
The next NDC government will recognize this festival with the title The Journey to Nkrofo as one of the official events on Ghana's tourism calendar. This festival will become a Pan-African pilgrimage for progressives from all over the world to visit the birthplace of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
We are here to speak to the man who found it necessary to initiate that program, the Journey to Nkrofo, the Member of Parliament for the Ellembele constituency, and also Deputy Minority Leader in Parliament, Honorable Hon Armah Kofi Buah.
First of all, let me thank H1 team. You've been amazing to have been part of us since last year. We really, really appreciate your work. But as you have said, I think that we set out to make sure that we unearth a very critical piece of Ghana's history that seems to have been ignored. And that history has to do with the man who founded this republic, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, where he was born, where he grew up, the values that basically shaped him into the man he became, the humbling beginnings. This is a piece of Ghana's history. And we believe that this was really important, that not only the people of Ellembele and Nzima, and let me say that I've been celebrating of Sajifu's birthday for the last 14 years as Member of Parliament. And every year that we celebrate, we elevate it. And I think I'm just too excited about this year's celebration, because the conviction that led us to this celebration was that the people of Ghana must be part of this celebration. And when they are part of this celebration, especially understanding the works of Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. If you listen to the speeches we gave, especially where I focused on, there were two things I said. Yes, Osajifo was one of the best presidents of this republic has produced. He did a lot of work, but more than anything, his ideals and the future he envisioned and laid out, that future and that plan and that pathway, it's still as relevant in 2024 and beyond. And so it's important that we as Ghanaians, as young people, as academic, as ordinary people, learn about his roots, but in doing so, come to understand the things that we need to do as a country to really break finally the shackles of economic freedom.
But the ideals are still relevant as it were in those days and then beyond. Do you think our political systems has created a situation where we have not appreciated Nkrumah's role in the growth of Ghana from independence till then?
Yeah, I think that it's very sad to make this commentary, but let me say that after all these years of independence, we probably should be able to say that we have moved away from that very divisive politics that characterized events leading up to Ghana's independence. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. If you have been a student of history, you will know those events that led to the formation of the NLM, that led to the formation of the Matimehu group. One would have thought, having finally defeated all these forces and having won power and having proven himself and laid this solid foundation that today, if you listen to my speech, I ask a question: can anybody in Ghana honestly say that the foundation that was laid by Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah 52 years ago, if we do without them right now, can this country survive? And I mentioned a few of them. Can this Ghana in 2024 going forward survive without Tema Harbour? Can Ghana survive without the Akosobo Dam that still produce over 30% of our energy security? I mean, the list will go on. Or the the Kotoka International Airport, and so many other things that are so fundamental to our survival. The question is, having proven himself, ask every engineer, any scientist in Ghana where he schooled. He schooled at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. And let the record be very clear. If Kwame Nkrumah wanted to gauge putting projects in where he doesn't get votes, he probably wouldn't have put KNUS. But Kwame Nkrumah's thought was far from that. He was so nationalistic, so continentally oriented about the future of this continent, about the future of our country. And it was so fundamental. And the argument was simple. We have gotten our political independence. God has blessed us with these resources. The only way we move to the next step and get our economic freedom is to lay a solid foundation to add value to the things we have comparative advantage, to cut off the imperialist forces that have colonized us so that we can be free, finally free, and finally free from poverty. That's all he preached, if you really think about it. You ask yourself today, why is it that the biggest headache for any manager of our economy is our city? Have you thought about it? So when Kwame Nkrumah says in the 60s, we need to make sure that we create a system that allows us to control the commanding heights of our economy. That's what he meant. He meant that if we don't do that, these colonial powers that we have defeated will come back in another form, in a new colonial called neocolonialism. And these people are coming in the form of the World Bank, the IMF, and all these Bretton Woods institutions whose fundamental objective is to keep us the way we are. So we can be going to them cap in hand all the time to borrow. So we are in debt. Then they will come and they will set our IMF conditionalities, and then we'll be struggling, and then we'll be struggling, and then we'll be going back, and then our people will be, and then our CD will not be stable. There will be inflation, and no realistically any government can manage this economy. And I'm saying to everybody who understands what Kwame Nkrumah stood for, this is what is the sick man in the room. The people of Ghana must come to this realization that until we follow this plan, I said it in the speech, Kwame Nkrumah is the only president that not only did all the things he did, but he laid out the things that must be done for economic freedom. We brought this journey to Nkrofo more importantly because it's not simply coming to visit Nkrofo, but in the process, it's a journey of learning. It's a journey of emancipation. It's a journey of breaking loose this mental slavery so that we can capture the spirit of Nkrumah and get our freedom once again. That is this journey. And until this year, the people that have come here, who have listened, and let me say that I was so grateful to President Mahama for not only coming in this difficult period of campaigning. You know, when we extended the invitation, he looked at it and said, this is too important. I'll stop everything I'm doing and come. And he came here. If you listen to him, he was exactly right in every point he made. First, history doesn't lie. Kwame Nkrumah was basically with few people that were loyal to his cause. And everybody that today wants us to tell the world that they are heroes had abandoned him. In fact, they were on the side of the colonialists. So, yes, they all played some role at some point in the process. But we ask a question. If we want one person that we honor on a Founders Day, I think that's the argument. That's the argument. And so I believe that the journey to Nkrofo that we started,
So that means our arguments on founders with the apostrophe.
it's so needless. It's so needless. So unfortunate and so needless. You know, typically on a Founders Day in most countries, what happens is that we are able to talk to our young generation about the sacrifices of our leaders who fought for our freedom, about the values that make us as a country, about the things that must hold us together. On the Founders Day, we talk about the things that unite us more than the things that divide us. On the Founders Day, we project a Ghana that is bigger. But what have we seen? On the Founders Day, we are fighting on who was the founder, whether we should add S or it's just a founder of founders. And we are arguing left and right. Listen, if you listen to my speech, I grew up in the shadows of Nkrumahism. Everybody I know. But I also understand that in the 21st century Ghana, it is time for us to make sure we move forward together. We move forward together, you know, as a country and learn the lessons of the past. Those lessons of the past will guide us that if we continue bickering and fighting, we are going to be enslaved, and the neo-colonialists will continue to keep us the way we are.
Now, for the people of Nkrofo and Ellembele, journey to Nkrofo has come to stay.
Yes.
Beyond you looking for resources to make sure this comes up.
Oh my God.
Year, how, as a nation, can we make it, apart from looking for the tourism ministry to take them, how, as a nation, can we make it a part and parcel of what we'll do annually? So as it were imbibing the younger generation.
So let me say something for the record. You see this big celebration. I struggled to get even one sponsor. Not one. But I believe that in the future it will happen. And I'm very grateful to Onya and VH1 and others who have partnered us to come. And all of you did this voluntarily out of love for Kwame Nkrumah. And I'm telling you, I'm very grateful. But I think that President Mahama took this in a perspective that shocked me. If you listen to him, we were talking about it, and he says, Kofi, this festival must be, this journey to Nkrofo must be a Pan-Africa festival. Rightly so. Every country in this continent, on this continent, in fact, beyond the borders of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah is celebrated more than Ghana. He's in every city. His statue is almost every country. Schools naming after him, roads, streets. He's known everywhere. And can you imagine that Ghana takes the lead to invite almost African countries that we need to set a day aside for a Pan-African festival to honor our great heroes like Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. You know, it will be amazing. And the tourism potential for this country will be beyond our imagination, in the millions of dollars. Remember that some countries, they don't have oil, they don't have gold, they don't have diamond, they don't produce cocoa. The only thing they survive on is tourism. And I believe that one of the key pillars for Journey to Nkrofo is to unlock the tourism potential of these roots of our history and make sure that the world comes to where the greatest man of the millennium of Africa grew up and was born. And I think that we have hit a nerve. And I'll put it that way. We have hit a nerve. And people of Ghana have responded in ways that are so amazing to me. And has been led by President Mahama. And I believe that, yes, we still have a long way to go. But where we have started, we are not stopping. I believe that next year's festival is probably going to be bigger than this year.
Now, away from Journey to Nkrofo,
Yes.
one of the things that broke my heart when I came was the Subrisu stream.
Yes.
A year ago when we came for Journey to Nkrofo, the stream was a bit wider and had a lot of water just at the same time, 20th September. And 20th September 2024, we get there and it has shrunk. You must be a worried leader in the constituency to know that illegal miners are causing so much.
Let me tell you, this is one of the things that keep me awake at night. And I think that Chinua Achebe's word, "things fall apart," describes the situation with Galamsey and how we have completely lost control of it. And it's a clear indictment of the complicity of the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. Basically have recruited every government representative in every district whose responsibility it is to protect our water bodies and the environment, to actually lead the charge in destroying it. Don't take my word for it. Just go and check all the reports with national security, with your former ministers. It is as if the government has an open policy that says, guys, go get and make money and bring it to the MPP. Listen, what you saw in Subri is heartbreaking, but more than that, if I take you beyond Subri, and you are in the western region, so I can tell you that even the worst things you are seeing in the Ellembele districts are the best you are seeing. If you cross Ellembele and go to Avaluijura, and by the time you get to Takwa, you will faint. We basically are committing suicide. We are killing ourselves and we are killing our future. And nobody will listen. Just few months ago, I basically got so frustrated because what was happening? You wake up in the morning as a cocoa farmer. You have farmed your cocoa for 15 years. And all you see is a bulldozer with some Chinese and some few Ghanaian collaborators who the papers saying that we have come from the Minerals Commission, EPA, we have our lands. This is our concession. We've come to the district assembly. The district assembly led by the DISEC has approved it. We are here. We'll give you 150 per tree, and then your cocoa that you have finished for 15 years is stored down. It happened to one man, and I went there and I couldn't help it, and I led cocoa farmers into a massive demonstration. I think at this point we must collectively call for timeout and say enough is enough. But not that the kind of enough is enough that was called for by Akufo-Addo when he put his presidency on the line. Intentionally called for a halt of everything. It turned out that it was a strategy to allow his party apparatchiks alone to go into the bushes to basically do what they want to do to destroy everything. And that's what they did. When they had really put a ban on our forest reserves, we've had some of these reserves in the Western region for 800 years. They've gone in there, Akuta mining, everywhere, destroyed everything. And when you tell the president, he say, well, I don't think Akuta mining has done anything. And I'm not talking about that kind of pause. I'm talking about a pause that genuinely must be for people who love this country and who understand.
Like a state of emergency.
Yes, we have to declare it. Declare a state of emergency. And go back to the drawing table. We know what the problem is. The problem is that we must basically decentralize the issuing of licenses. We must empower the local institutions to work. I mean, how much... It doesn't make any sense, for example, to have a EPA guy in Accra and the Minerals Commission guy and all the institutions in Accra. They've never even traveled beyond Apromedo. They don't know the Ellembele district. A guy goes there and then goes and make arguments, sees them in the evening. Then he has a license. He comes in here, whether there's water bodies or not. He doesn't follow any engagement because he's coming to basically bribe his way, and then he goes and destroys people's forests. No. We have to review our laws to say that from now on, the only authority, and this is laid out in the NDC manifesto, and I'm excited about it. If you ask me one thing that I'm excited about what the NDC manifesto projects, is that we create a moratorium and clean our water bodies and our environment. But more than that, we create a new licensing regime completely involving our own chiefs who are custodians of the land, involving the district level government agencies transparently, involving key stakeholders who are here. Now, right now, if you come to Nkrofo and you see what they're saying, you know, everybody's blaming everybody. They're saying that, go and blame the EPA people in Accra who gave the Chinese people license. These people, no, we should hold people locally accountable. But more than that, we should create a system that allow the local people to be trained, and that we should have the right engineers, the right environmentalists in every small-scale mining site to manage the system, not because anybody wants, but it's by force. And if you fail to do that, the punitive actions, you can't bear it, so you obey it. We have to hate people who will break any law that they will never even think about breaking any law, and create a system that works. That system to protect our water bodies and environment, and in the process empower our own people, and then create an avenue that when they are getting the small scale mining law, it is not going through some Indian hands who are smuggling almost $9 billion of gold every year, which we in Ghana don't see, and we are sitting here crying for dollars. How do we close those gaps? That's the conversation. And so I think that if you ask me honestly why I'm excited that the change will come, I'll tell you that one of the top reasons is that this government has been a complete failure when it comes to the issue of Galamsey, and that the ideas that have been espoused by the NDC in the manifesto must be given a chance to basically clean our system, reset it, and refix our licensing regime, and put in punitive measures to deal with lawbreakers.
A few weeks to elections. How's it looking like for you in Ellembele?
I think the Western region is. I was in Tarkwa to launch a campaign yesterday, and what I saw there, I've been in Tarkwa severally on elections. But what I saw yesterday in Takwa, what happened yesterday in Secondary, I'm a very cautious politician. But I can tell you that the Western region is already falling for the NDC. And I'm very confident about it. I believe that Greater Accra is gone. I believe Central Region is completely on its way. And I think this election, and that is why the people of Ghana must be awake. There are people in this system who think that they can manipulate the will of the people of Ghana. Wasn't it so disgraceful that even the balloting, these MPP people are scheming? I mean, shamefully, they will do anything to stay in power. But as the people of Ghana have won, their vote must mean something. And if anybody who would try to manipulate and disrespect the will of the people of Ghana, they will face their wrath. I know that. The Electoral Commission, we demonstrated a few weeks ago, called for the Electoral Commission to basically open the register for audit, independent audit, to make sure it's clean before the election. And that must happen. They must give confidence to the electoral process and allow the people of Ghana to decide who should rule them. And if that happens, we believe the NDC has won the election.
What happens if the auditing is not done?
I've told you, anybody who will try to test, as Kwame Nkrumah said, the people of Ghana are very patient. They are very slow to anger. But please, don't test their patience. The people of Ghana have said it in many ways, that they have reached their wait time. They have reached their wait's end. And so I think that the battle lines are drawn. There are two things. And we pray that the second alternative doesn't happen. We are going to have a genuine elections. The will of the people will be respected in such a way that by the time we finish, there will be no doubts. Or we will go to the second alternative. But we pray that doesn't happen.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable, for your time.
Thank you.
And we hope to be here next year.
Yes.
To be a part.
Looking forward. You are now a permanent official with Wellington Kofi. Thank you so much.
A very exciting conversation with a member of Parliament for the Ellembele constituency.
Yes.
And the journey to Nkrofo has come to stay. Next year there will be a third edition. And if you're just watching us, remember to be part of that journey next year so that you get to understand where the man who has been described as the African of the millennium came from, where he was born, where he grew up, and where he got all those values he imbibed when he was leading. Thank you very much.
May God bless him.